folks, good to see you. It's a chilly day here in Dublin. I'm on Marlborough Street here, the corner of North Earl, Talbot Street, and it's Marlborough Street. Hope you're all doing well, folks. Just show you around here a little bit. So the theme of today's tour, we're going to be talking about the life and times, basically, of James Joyce and his most famous novel, his masterpiece, Ulysses. Hope everybody can hear me well. If you're on the tour yesterday, you'll probably see some of the landmarks that we visited yesterday as well. This is getting wobbly. Oh, we got Poppy. How are you, Poppy? Good to see you. Atticor, good to see you. Of course, Poppy and Atticor went on the tour yesterday. My gimbal's becoming wobbly for some reason, folks. Don't know why. I might have to readjust it here. Or maybe it's just me. I feel as if it's wobbly. No, it is wobbly. It's definitely wobbly. Folks, give me a minute. I'm going to have to readjust my gimbal here. Thank you. I hope that's better. I think that's better. Yeah. No problem, thank you. Okay, Atticor. So folks, as I mentioned, the theme of today's tour is James Joyce and his masterpiece book, Ulysses. Now we're approaching right now on North Earl Street, just off O'Connell Street. You see the spire in the that needle in the sky, right there, in the middle of O'Connell Street. And you'll see just before that the James Joyce statue. So just to talk to you a little bit about, there's a huge celebration that takes place here in Dublin and throughout the world actually on the 16th of June 1904. It's about one day in the life of Leopold Bloom on the 16th of June 1904. But each year on the 16th of June is Bloom's Day in Dublin. So we'll talk a little bit about that during the course of the tour as well. But first of all, just to tell you, Bloom's Day, as I said before, it's a celebration that takes place in Dublin and around the world. It celebrates Thursday, the 16th of June, 1904, which is the day in James Joyce's novel, Ulysses. Now, there's a reason why Joyce chose this day, the 16th of June, 1904, for the setting of the book, Ulysses, and which I'll tell you about that a little later on. Now, the day is named after Leopold Bloom, hence Bloom's Day, the central character in Ulysses. Now, the novel follows the life and thoughts of Leopold Bloom and a host of other characters, real and imaginable, real and fictional, I should say, from 8 a.m. on the 16th of June 1904 through to the early hours of the following morning. Celebrations often include dressing up like characters from the book and the clothes that would have been the style of the era, 1904, so the early 1900s, and of course visiting the pubs that Bloom went to that day and other locations that he visited on that day also. And Ulysses is made up of 1,000 pages and 265,000 words. Many of these are written following the so-called stream of consciousness, meaning that the author leaves the words flowing freely without punctuation. And it is a difficult novel to read for sure. It must be understood to understand, and the author and his story as well as his Irish background. So here is the Joyce statue right here on North Earl Street. Now there's several statues of Joyce throughout Dublin. There's another one on St. Stephen's Green. You might have seen that on my St. Stephen's Green tour. It's in the park right there, just inside the gate of the park. Outside that gate of the park is the UCD, the old UCD building where James Joyce went to school. Let me see who else is on here, folks. Any other comments? You missed the tour yesterday, Sarah? Yeah, it was a good tour. It was actually close to here that we started the tour, and we actually came by to parts of what you'll see here today as well on this tour. But the James Joyce statue here, it was erected in 1990, and it was created by a US sculptor, Marjorie Fitzgibbon, and it depicts Joyce in a state of calm repose, looking out across his beloved city. And it definitely makes a perfect personal photo souvenir of Joyce. Now a little further down on this street, actually near the end of this street, which I'm looking towards here, or where you can see towards here, is James Joyce Street. It was originally called Mabbott Street, but which was the entrance to the red light district called the Monto. So another street on there was called Montgomery Street, and it was known as the Monto, or Night Town area of Dublin, and it's the setting of the Circa episode in Ulysses. It was also called Night Town. And Leopold Bloom, he visited here, and it was considered to be the most notorious brothel district in all of Europe during that time. And it's believed also that Joyce visited this brothel on numerous occasions as well, obviously before he was married. Now Ulysses, it starts and ends at number 7 Eccles Street, which is just too far to walk from where we are right now to show you that street. It's on the north side of Dublin. We are on the north side of the city right now, but it's probably a good kilometre of a walk, so we won't be going there. But it starts at number 7 Eccles Street, where the main character of the book, Leopold Bloom, and his wife Molly lived. And it's one of the most famous addresses in literature. And Joyce went to visit this house to see his friend John Francis Byrne, who actually lived there. Now, Leopold Bloom was a fictitious character, but it may have been based on a real person. And some say it was and so forth, but Joyce's friend actually lived at number 7 Eccles Street, which is where, in the book, that James Joyce's character, Leopold Bloom in Ulysses, lived. And the house is no longer around, as it's now the Mater Hospital. Mater Hospital is one of the biggest hospitals in Dublin. There's a Mater Private and a Mater Public. This is the GPO building if you're on the tour yesterday. Hi Orlane, how are you? Ronnie, good to see you. Welcome, everybody's just joined us, good to see us all. That's the GPO. If you were on the tour yesterday, you would have heard all about the GPO, the General Post Office. Probably the most recognised building and famous building on O'Connell Street, Dublin's main thoroughfare, the widest street in Dublin. And I used to say it was the widest street in all of Europe, but I was misinformation, because it isn't. But it is one of the widest streets in Europe. Now down here on this street is where the character Leopold Bloom actually worked, on this street right here. Let me just go over. And he worked for the Freeman's Journal. So Leopold Bloom, his occupation was he was an advertising agent, an advertising sales rep. So Princess Street North right here, and it's in that building that you see down the end, the red brick one facing us. That is where the Freeman's Journal was actually located. Now, it really was a newspaper, the Freeman's Journal, back in the 1800s, early 1900s. And let's say he was like an advertising canvasser, Leopold Bloom was. Now, what's mentioned a lot also in the novel Ulysses is Glasnevin Cemetery, which is once again a little far. Want to hear a little rock music over here? This is Penny's store right here. It's a Primark in the US and in the UK. Penny's one of the largest retail stores in Ireland. It originated right here on Henry Street, just the street just before the GPO. That side street, Henry Street, and that's where Penny's originated from, the original store. It's a worldwide store, one of the largest stores on the planet, if you like, because they're everywhere, pennies. And was owned by a Canadian at one time, just before he died. And I'm trying to think of his name. Galen Weston. So I was mentioning Glasnevin Cemetery. It's portrayed in one of the pages of Ulysses, one of the episodes, or one of the chapters. And several of the characters from Ulysses find their final resting place at Glasnevin Cemetery, including Paddy Dignam and Michael Cusack, known as the Citizen. And in the book, Leopold Bloom walked unheralded along his grave by saddened angels' crosses, broken pillars, family vaults, stone hopes praying with upcast eyes, and old iron hearts and hands. A passage from Ulysses. So, as I say, Ulysses, the book, talks all about, or it's what the theme of it is, one day in the life of Leopold Bloom, where from 8 a.m. in the morning right through till the early hours of the morning on the 16th of June 1904. Now, his wife Molly was actually having an affair, and he wanted to get out of the house, and that's why he walked. He was actually not in a very good mood. He was kind of sad at walking the streets and going in for a couple of pints or a couple of drinks. One of them pubs that he went into, we'll go there, we'll show it to you, called Davy Burns. We're coming up here to O'Connell Bridge, the top of O'Connell Street. Now, further down, it no longer exists, but it's down off of Capel Street. Further down the quays, you take a right turn and then a left onto Little Britain Street. And that's where Barney Kieran's pub was. And the pub is the scene for the Cyclops episode in Ulysses, where we meet the citizen based on the real-life character of Michael Cusack, founder of the Gaelic Athletic Association, the GAA. It's described in Ulysses so we turned into Barney Kiernan's, and there, save enough, was the citizen. Barney Kiernan's is no longer in business, unfortunately, because it is one of the places that they talk about in the book. We're going to cross the road, go on to O'Connell Bridge from O'Connell Street, and make our way onto Fleet Street and into Temple Bar. We'll show you a few places of interest down there. Now, further down the quays, across the bridge here, and all the way down the end of the Liffey, you come to the Dublin Port, and that's also discussed in the book, where the North Wall Quay. Actually, it's not discussed in the book, but the North Wall Quay, it's where James Joyce and his wife Nora Barnacle, they left Ireland on October the 8th, 1904. It's also the setting for the end of the beautiful short story Eveline from James Joyce's book Dubliners. James Joyce's series of book Dubliners. There's like 15 short stories. Dubliners, classic. Probably the most notable of those stories was The Dead, and that was actually made into a movie. I think it was directed by John Huston. Would have been the 1980s that movie was released, and I think it would have been in limited theatres. But it was a good movie. You'll see the Halfpenny Bridge. If you're on the tour yesterday, you would have seen that. The most famous bridge going over Dublin's River Liffey. I'm making a run for it here to get across, because if you miss a light here, you're going to be waiting ages to get a green light. And I'll be just standing there. This is Westmoreland Street, the National Wax Museum. Or Dublin's answer to Madame Tussauds, if you like. Nowhere near as impressive though, but still pretty entertaining. It's Friday evening, Friday afternoon I should say, so a lot of people get off work early on a Friday. They head for the local pubs, or they're heading home out to the suburbs to probably go have their dinner and then out for a few pints in their local suburban pub. And this is why you'll see lots of people in the streets. Also, Friday is the day when the European tourists come to Dublin. to spend the weekend. And they spend a good portion of their time drinking, because this is a drinking city, folks. And they go to places like Temple Bar, where we're going right now. Now, you may have seen Temple Bar on some of my other tours. Let me just check to see any of the... Happy Friday, yes. Friday, a very big day here in Dublin. Friday evening. So let me go. We're making our way into Temple Bar right here, and we'll discuss a little more about Joyce and about his great novel Ulysses in a bit. Now, most of the pubs around Temple Bar, they are touristy pubs, except for this one right here. This is right at the beginning of Fleet Street, the beginning of Temple Bar, and this is called the Palace Bar. It's over 200 years old, celebrated its 200th anniversary last year, and this is a livery pub. So the like of Joyce would have drank here, Brendan Behan, Patrick Kavanagh, all the greats. And also, because this is Fleet Street, just down the street here is a continuation of Fleet Street if you go across Westmoreland Street, and that's where the Irish Times newspaper is. And so this pub has been frequented by the local journalists from the Irish Times for, over 100 years or more. There you go. They got some plaques down here on the ground of some of the famous writers and journalists. Flann O'Brien, great Irish writer. He went by several different names. Patrick Kavanagh, the great poet, probably Ireland's second or third greatest ever poet. And then you have Brendan Behan, a character right there, and then Con Houlihan, a great sports writer. Oh, sorry. I got to be careful of tilting this gimbal because it's kind of flimsy a little bit. So these hotels all around here, Temple Bar, they'll be all full tonight. Even though it's January, this particular area of Dublin gets a high volume of tourists. So the accommodation will be pretty full all year round. And even at this time of year, it'll be pretty full. All these pubs around Temple Bar will be busy tonight and later this afternoon. Hard Rock Cafe here in Dublin. This one's been here for a very long time. Of course, the very first Hard Rock Cafe in the world was in London. And of course, we're not that far from London. So Dublin would have been not that long afterwards that Hard Rock Cafe has been there for decades. Now, we're coming up to a really famous pub here in Temple Bar. And you may have been in this. I do a music pub tour around Temple Bar. And I've been in this pub many times, live streaming the music in this particular pub. Now, most of the time I go to Darky Kelly's, which are actually going on this Sunday night. Hope you can be there for that. But this is another one that I've been into before. It's called Oliver St. John Gogarty's. Now, Oliver St. John Gogarty was a great friend of James Joyce, and I'll just tell you a little bit about him. So, St. John Gogarty, this pub is named after. He was a famous Irish poet, author, surgeon, athlete, politician, and well-known conversationalist. And he was a great friend of Joyce's, and he served as the inspiration for Buck Mulligan in Ulysses, and the first passages, chapter 1 of the book, is about him. And he lived at the Martello Tower in Sandy Cove, right near Dunleary. You might have seen Dunleary and Sandy Cove if you've ever been on the Hagel tours that Hazel used to do. She used to go there quite a bit around Dunleary area. So this is actually named after this guy. Now, he lived at, as I say, the Martello Tower in Sandy Cove beside Dunleary, where the first episode of Ulysses takes place, and was the roommate of Stephen Dedalus. Now, Stephen Dedalus is actually Joyce himself. So he put himself in the book as a character and called himself Stephen Dedalus. Now, this is a true story. Whilst in real life, Joyce was looking for a place to live. Joyce never had much money. He was looking for a place to live. So he asked his friend, would he put him up? And his friend, Oliver St. John Gogarty, put him up in the Martello Tower there in Sandy Cove in Dublin, a Dublin suburb along the coast, probably about 7 miles from Dublin City. And this guy was an absolutely crazy lunatic, this St. John Gogarty. And whilst Joyce was there with him, he tried to shoot Joyce. And he shot over his head and knocked down a whole bunch of pots and pans that landed on the head of Joyce. Joyce was only there for a week, and he finally left because this man was absolutely crazy, St. John Gogarty, who this pub was named after. But he gets his own back on St. John Gogarty in the first chapter of Ulysses, where he tells this story about what happened with Buck Mulligan, the character that is Oliver St. John Gogarty, his character Buck Mulligan, and the shooting and everything else. So there you go. So they had a big falling out, and there's a literary festival held in this guy St. John Gogarty's former home. Now he also had other homes other than the Martello Tower. He was quite a wealthy man from a wealthy family. Now the Renville House in Connemara. And it's the annual Oliver St. John Gogarty Literary Festival. It's to say he was a writer as well. Now we're going to go up this street right here. There's another great old pub. Old pub, do you hear me? The Old Dubliner. Another mainstay right here at Temple Bar. But I'm going to go up here and I'm going to show you there's actually a statue here of St. John Gogarty and of James Joyce. Gogarty sitting down and James Joyce standing up. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, it's the worst ever sculpture I've ever seen of Joyce. As I said, there's a number of statues of Joyce around Dublin City. You've seen one of them already. You've probably seen another one in St. Stephen's Green Park on some of my St. Stephen's Green Park tours when we were on Hagel. But this is largest store on the planet, which is that. Sarah's looking forward to the Sunday, yeah. So have a look at this statue of Joyce. It doesn't look anything like him. Whoever this sculptor was, I've never really seen any photographs of St. John Gogarty, but this is supposedly him. It probably doesn't look anything like him either if you go by the actual sculptor of Joyce. That doesn't look anything like him. It's amazing. How he got away with that, I don't know. I don't know even who the sculptor was. Anyway, Gogarty and Joyce at the Oliver St. John Gogarty Bar and Restaurant, Anglesey Street, Temple Bar, Dublin. There you go. We'll move on. They also have a hostel here as well, St. John Gogarty's. Now we're moving on, and we're going to go to show you the hotel here called, it's all that noise, called Bloom's Hotel. Oh, the tour on Saturday at a girl is a music tour. It's one you've probably been on before, of Darky Kelly's and the Irish Celts. They're a great traditional Irish music group. They're absolutely fantastic. So I hope you can join me for that. It's at 10 past 7 p.m. Irish time. So this is Bloom's Hotel, named after the character Leopold Bloom in Ulysses. And if you have a look, there's some absolutely fantastic murals of the main characters in Ulysses. This is Stephen Dedalus, who is actually the character based on Joyce, Stephen Dedalus in Ulysses. We have Molly Bloom. Let me turn this up. Now, don't ask me to do this portrait or whatever, because I'm afraid this gimbal is going to mess up. So there's Molly Bloom, who was Leopold Bloom's wife. She was cheating on him. Terrible lady. Bloom's Hotel. And then we have to go to the side of this building to catch Leopold Bloom himself. And also this is the old Central Bank building here in Dublin. They've moved since to the Dublin Docklands, but they're actually building a rooftop. We're going to build a rooftop bar. I don't know if it's open yet. So here is Leopold Bloom himself, the first one, and the second one is supposedly St. John Gogarty, Buck Mulligan, the character. So it's Leopold Bloom right there. Right. Now we're going to take a walk, and we're going to go to visit a few other places of interest here in Dublin City. that's affiliated with the great novel Ulysses. But before we do that, I want to talk to you a little bit about James Joyce himself. Now, Joyce was the eldest of 10 children and was born in Dublin on the 2nd of February 1882. And by the way, the 2nd of February, that is a very unique date because that was the very date that Ulysses was actually published, on the 2nd of February 1922, when Joyce was 40 years old. So on his 40th birthday, 2nd of February 1922, Ulysses was published. I don't think that was by accident. But it did take years and years for Ulysses to actually get published because it was banned in most countries. America banned it for years and years, and no one would publish it. People were afraid. But I'm going to tell you the story of what happened in just a little bit. And he was born in Dublin, as I say, Joyce, the eldest of 10 children, to John and May Joyce. His father at one time had money, but he was an alcoholic and he drank a lot and also spent a lot. And for this reason, the Joyce family frequently moved house to avoid paying rent. And James Joyce, he would inherit his father's bad habits, as he also drank too much and spent a lot of time. Spent a lot. It seemed he never had any money, so he spent a lot of money on booze and never seemed to have a lot of money. Now, Joyce was educated by the Jesuits, firstly in Clongowes, an exclusive private school in County Kildare, and then later at Belvedere College in Dublin, before entering UCD in 1898. And at this university, he missed a lot of the lectures, as he did not think highly of his lecturers. He then went on to study medicine in Paris, but soon ran out of funds. His first writings were called Chamber Music, a series of poems which he wrote in 1907. He read these poems to William Butler Yeats, and he looked on them favourably. And Yeats supplied him in various ways in Joyce's early life. He supported him in various ways in Joyce's early years, financially and obviously encouragement and support. Now, Joyce moved to Trieste in 1904 with his wife. Well, actually, it wasn't his wife at the time, his girlfriend Nora Barnacle, and they lived there for 10 years. He then moved to Paris, where he lived for 20 years. Actually, this is the old Bank of Ireland right here. Well, it is still the Bank of Ireland. Has been since 1803. It's formerly the Irish House of Lords, the Irish Parliament building, the Irish House of Lords, Irish House of Commons. But actually, Leopold Bloom came here on the 16th of June 1904 to withdraw some money. That's in the book as well. And of course, ahead of you there is Trinity College. In 1914, Joyce, let me try and get across the road here, folks, before this thing goes green. In 1914, Joyce published The Dubliners, a series of short stories, and in 1916, a portrait of an artist as a young man was published in Paris. Now, also in Paris, he met a lady by the name of Sylvia Beach, who owned a bookstore named Shakespeare and Company. By the way, that's Trinity College. If you've never been on my Trinity College tour before, that's it. It's Ireland's most celebrated university. Dates back to 1592, and it was established by Queen Elizabeth Queen Elizabeth I, the daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. And it is one of the 7 ancient universities of Great Britain and Ireland. It has 47-acre campus, considered by Forbes magazine to be one of the 15 most beautiful college campuses in the whole entire world, which is some feat when you think there's 25,000 universities across the world. So they're doing well. But coming out the Grafton Street right here, probably Dublin's most fashionable street, and probably its most popular street, known for its buskers. But let me go on and talk a little bit more about Joyce. As I say, in Paris, he met Sylvia Beach. She was actually, she owned a bookstore named Shakespeare and Company, and she was the daughter of a prominent clergyman from Princeton, New Jersey, so she was an American. And at this time, Joyce was looking for a publisher for his book Ulysses. No one wanted to publish it, as it was considered to be obscene and crude. It was banned in America before it was even published because of a scathing article written in the Little Review, a newspaper that reviewed books. 2 ladies in the US that tried to publish the book were sent to prison. How about that? Now, Silver and Beach agreed to publish the book, and it was published on the 2nd of February 1922, so 102 years ago. So this year, and many consider Ulysses to be the greatest book ever written in the English language. Now, obviously, that's up for debate, but it is considered to be one of the classics and one of the greatest books, masterpieces of all time in literature. It's really, really difficult to read. Some of the sentences don't make any sense. Some of the sentences. Grafton Street, known for its buskers. You've had some of the great buskers, Irish musicians in history. They started right here, including the boys from U2, Bono. And then also, some other great, Glenn Hansard, the Dubliners, Phil Lynott, who was Bob Geldof, Hosier, Sinead O'Connor. The list goes on and on. Even a young Ed Sheeran used to play here because his parents are Irish. They're from Wexford, or his grandparents lived in Wexford. So he used to come down here from Wexford. He used to go to Galway and busk as well as a 15-year-old. How about that? Known as the Citizen, Leopold Bloom. That's right, Joyce. There you go. Known as the Citizen. That's right. It took Joyce 7 years to write Ulysses, and the 3 main characters of Ulysses are Leopold Bloom, Stephen Dedalus, who was actually Joyce, and Molly Bloom, which was Bloom's wife. And Bloom's wife, as I said, was embarking on an affair with Blazes Boylan. Now, Bloom was 38 years old, and he was half Jewish advertising campaigner. Now, Joyce met whilst living in Paris. I say he lived there for 20 years. Whilst there, he became great friends of a lot of the great American writers, including Ezra Pound, the great poet, Ernest Hemingway, T.S. Eliot, and they all used to frequent the Shakespeare Company, the Shakespeare and Company bookstore owned by Sylvia Beach, and she introduced all these guys to Joyce. Now, Joyce was supposed to be not a very nice drinker, as I say. He didn't behave himself too well, and it's said that whilst in Paris and whilst being with Ernest Hemingway, he got into a bit of conflict on occasions, but he was only a slight man and wouldn't have been able to fight, so he hid behind Ernest Hemingway, a much bigger man, so people wouldn't go near Hemingway. He was a big man, but Joyce was hiding behind him. It's quite crazy, huh? And Ezra Pound is believed to have financed Joyce for over 20 years. How about that? 20 years. Now, here is one of the... Most of the pubs off of Grafton Street are very, very famous pubs, and they are literary pubs, if you like, where a lot of the literary folks drank, including the Beatty right here, very, very famous literary pub. Now, they've actually modernised this pub. I hate when they do that to old traditional pubs. They modernise it where it doesn't look like anything like what it used to. This is over 200 years old, this pub. Maybe 250 years old, but it doesn't look like it. But all the great writers, Joyce used to drink in here, Brendan Behan, Patrick Kavanagh, all the great Irish writers would have frequented this place. But the place I want to talk to you about is Davy Bourne's, because this is mentioned in the book Ulysses, where Leopold Bloom came here on the day, 16th of June, 1904, to have his glass of Burgundy and his Gorgonzola sandwich while talking to Davy Bourne, who was behind the bar at that time. So there you go. This pub has really been made famous by as I say, Ulysses. Now, Davy Byrne came forward from behind the hind bar in tuck-stitched shirt sleeves, cleaning his lips with 2 wipes of his napkin herring's blush, whose smile upon each feature plays with such and such replete. Too much fat on the parsnips. Ulysses, Bloomsday, June 16th, 1904. There you go. See, this is the kind of English that Joyce used in the book. If you've never read the book Ulysses, this is the kind of English, and it really is it's a pub, yes, Joyce, very, very famous pub, this pub. But this is the kind of English that he used. It was so hard to read. That's why the book is so hard to read. I put it down after 2 chapters. I couldn't go any further. It's crazy. Just ridiculous. What was it? Ridiculous. Yes, indeed. This is the Duke. If you've been on my Grattan Street tour before, you've seen this place. I talked about it many times. I probably did the Grattan Street tour 15 times on Hago alone, and I probably did it on my YouTube channel about 5 or 6 times as well. And I've done it for other virtual tour companies as well. But the Duke is this great famous literary pub also, and this is one of the best tours in Dublin, is the literary pub crawl tour, which take place right here. It actually starts right here on the first floor, and it's run by 2 actors. They tell you passages, or they read out passages, or they act out passages from scenes from different books. And then they move on after about half an hour to other pubs. All told, they visit about 5 pubs, and they end up back at Davy Byrne's, which I just showed you. It is one of the great pub crawl tours. It's the literary pub crawl tour. It is one of the best tours in all of Dublin. So, what's right next to the Duke is, of course, Ulysses Rare Books. So Ulysses Rare Bookstore, obviously named after Leopold Bloom. So we're coming up to Dawson Street here, and it's on this street, just at the end of the street, where Leopold Bloom, on the 16th of June 1904, I keep mentioning that date because that is the date of the book, he helped a blind man cross the road. So that is stated in the book as well. Now this is Dawson Street, developed in 1707 by Joshua Dawson. He also developed Grafton Street as well, and all the streets around here. Duke Street, Ann Street. He was a big developer, and he lived at the Mansion House, which is now the Lord Mayor's house, right up the street from here, on this street, Dawson Street. Very famous Irish bookstore right here, Hodges Figgis. Great bookstore. Let's see what they have. I don't know if we have, sorry, excuse me. I don't know if we have any big readers on. Oh look, Henry Winkler, Being Henry. I always like him. The Fonz, remember the Fonz? What a great show. Britney Spears. Ian Fleming. One of the entrances into Trinity College right there at the end of the street. This, if you haven't been on any of my tours before, the Fonz, that's right, Ronnie. The Fonz. Hey, Mr. Cunningham. Hey. This is the Lewis, the tram system that runs through Dublin City. If you haven't seen it before, on my tours, they're very frequent. They come every 3 or 4 minutes and take you out to the suburbs, south, north, east and west. Very good system. I love Henry Winkler. Says Sarah, yeah. He's a great actor. It's amazing it's the same guy, the Fonz, because he's played some really serious roles before as well. So we are walking down Nassau Street here. I want to show you a shop right up here that is really, really famous shop in Dublin, and so many people frequent it. It's You might see Easton's right here. Easton's is a bookstore slash stationery store. By far and away the most well-known stationery store in Dublin. They've been around for probably 100 years or more. They have several locations in Dublin. Their biggest one, of course, is on O'Connell Street. The sports grounds there of Trinity College, behind the railings there. But I was just mentioning there about this great shop right here. It's really authentic Irish shop, in that all the products that they're selling here, whether it be food items or whether it would be clothing, are all Irish based products, all manufactured here in the country of Ireland. And it's called the Kilkenny shop, Kilkenny Design Shop. Fantastic shop, really is cool. I'd love you to do a tour of all the great bookshops and libraries in Dublin. Well, I don't know, Alec, if you've ever been in Ireland's oldest library is in Dublin, right beside St. Patrick's Cathedral, called Marshall's Library. And I've actually gone in there. I usually spend about 5 minutes or so in there showing you all the books. It dates back to 1707, and as I said before, by far and away the oldest library in Dublin. The second oldest library in Dublin is the one in here, the old library at Trinity College. Dates back to 1727, so 20 years later that was established. So here's the Kilkenny shop, fabulous shop, the great restaurant on the second floor. And what's great about the restaurant on the second floor is that tour guides get the food for half price. Half price for tour guides. All you have to do is show them your badge, your tour guide badge. My badge is the Fáilte Ireland accredited tour guide badge, which is what you're supposed to have if you're a tour. You actually have to do exams for that. You have to do a course for it, which I did. So there you go. Yeah, half price. It's great. Let me cross the road here quickly. I'm running. Because I'm telling you, you have to wait forever to get another green light. This is Kildare Street right here. It's a great Georgian street. The Irish government buildings are up there, called Leinster House. Show you the sports ground here at Trinity College. Some of Ireland's greatest writers actually were former alumni of Trinity College, including Oscar Wilde, who only spent 2 years here because then he won a further scholarship then to Oxford. But then you also had Bram Stoker, Jonathan Swift, and of course you had Samuel Beckett. This is the cricket field right here. Samuel Beckett, not only was he a great writer, great playwright, but he also was a great sportsman as well. And they say he may have been the greatest cricketer to ever play for Trinity College. He was a great bowler and a great batsman. He won in 1969 the Nobel Prize for Literature. And of course, you know Bram Stoker from Dracula. So let's move on. I've got another little story to tell you here. Darky Kelly's Oliver Single was a great fan of James Joyce. Yeah. So if you look ahead of you here, you see this red brick building, and this is a former hotel called Finn's Hotel. And let me just tell you a little bit about this place right here. So this is where Joyce met his wife. His wife was a lady called Nora Barnacle, a lovely redhead girl, and she was from Mulligan. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Joyce. Yeah, Buck Mulligan, yeah. So Nora Barnacle was from Galway. She was a Galway girl living in Dublin, and she was working in this hotel here called Finn's Hotel. So she was outside, coming out of work after a day's work, and Joyce happened to be walking down the street like where I am now, near the entrance to Finn's Hotel. And he stops to talk to this lovely girl, this lovely redhead, Nora, and he's getting on great with her, and he asks her out for a date. And the date was to happen the next day, and she never showed up for the date. And Joyce was absolutely devastated that he didn't show up. She didn't show up. So he actually went, found out where she lived and went to her home, knocked on the door. Nora answered, and he pleaded with her to please go out with him. And the next day, they went out, and they had a lovely date. And they walked around Sandymount Beach. You might have seen Sandymount Beach on one of my tours I did in Otago, Sandymount Beach. So they walked along Sandymount Beach, and they had a great date. And the date of this particular date was the 16th of June 1904, which is the date of his great novel Ulysses. And that's why he picked the date, the 16th of June 1904, because it was the first date he had with his future wife, Nora Barnacle from Galway. How about that? And she stood him up the first time. Just tell you a little more about Joyce. Joyce's sister, she lived in New Zealand. So this is a message from someone that knew Joyce's sister. And it states, I received a message from Paddy in New Zealand about James. Oh, sorry, this was a guy that was on a tour here. So there was a lady, her name was Margaret Alice Poppy Joyce, and she left Ireland in 1909. That's Joyce's sister. She left Ireland in 1909 to live in New Zealand, and where she would spend the rest of her life as a nun in the Order of the Sisters of Mercy, an Irish organisation, Irish sisterhood, Sisters of Mercy. And she taught singing, piano and violin in Greymouth and Rununga up until 1949. And she also taught at the Loreto College till 3 weeks before her death at the age of 80 in 1964. Sister Mary Gertrude Joyce died 1st of March 1964. But she was told she only had a few weeks to live. When she was told she only had a few weeks to live, she requested the destruction of her letters and photographs, which included 30 years of weekly letters from her brother James Joyce. That's very sad. I guess because she was a nun, they were very private people. But she destroyed all the letters, the weekly letters for 30 years that she received while living in New Zealand from James Joyce. It's pretty sad. So I mentioned a guy called Paddy. He was on tours in on Hago. He's from New Zealand, and he was the one that actually told me that story. So there you go. He met some woman that told him that story. This is Kennedy's pub. All the pubs around Dublin are pretty famous, but this one is where actually Oscar Wilde, you see his painting there or whatever. Oscar Wilde actually worked at this pub as a young boy. You know, back then the pubs would have been grocery stores and one-stop shop for all, grocery stores, hardware stores, and you know, and bars as well. So he would have been stocking the shelves and that kind of stuff. And you'll see a lot of writers also would have frequented this place as well. There's William Butler Yeats over there as well. And they actually have a statue outside of Kennedy's of Oscar Wilde. So here he is. There's Oscar Wilde's statue. He used to work here as a young boy. Actually, Wilde was born on this street, Westland Row, in 1854. He was born on this street. When he was a year old, he moved to Merrion Square, number 1 Merrion Square. You'll have seen that house if you've been on my tours there. Ulysses published book on the 2nd of February. Yeah, 1922, Joyce. Bloom Sultan, named after Leopold Bloom. He was married to Molly Bloom. That is correct, Joyce. Fair play to you. Now, we're going to end the tour shortly, but I want to show you this place. I hope it's open. It is. I hope PJ's here. You may have seen this if you're on my tours before that I do of Merrion Square. I usually come in here. But this is Sweeney's Pharmacy. And Leopold Bloom came here to pick up his lemon soap in the book Ulysses. So, look, it's where Leopold Bloom, underneath that will tell you came here for his lemon soap. James Joyce, a selection of Joyce's prose with an introductory note from T.S. Eliot. There you go. So this is dedicated to James Joyce and Ulysses. This shop is. It's like a museum in itself, because in here you can buy the lemon soap, the same lemon soap that Leopold Bloom bought on that day, 16th of June 1904. So, this guy that runs this place happens to be a scholar, and he's a scholar in the English and the Irish language. His name is PJ. He also sings songs in the Gaelic Irish language, and he's a good musician too, a good singer. And he also does literary nights here, and he does them in about 10 different languages. This guy, as I said, is a scholar. I know he does them in Italian, he does them in Spanish, he does them in German, he does them in Irish language, he does them in English and all that. And it's mostly that every evening he'll do these recitals of Ulysses, the great book. Let me see if he's in. I don't think he's here. I just looked through the door, I didn't see him. But it'd be great if he was here. He's not here a lot these days. He used to be here all the time.
Hello.
How you doing there? How are you? Is PJ here, is he? No?
He's not, unfortunately.
Oh. Yeah. I usually come in and live stream, you know. He usually plays a song for our audience, you know.
You're a tour guide.
That's
What's
right.
your name?
Dave Kavanagh, yeah.
Yeah, Patrick. And
Patrick, how are you? Hi Patrick, I'm here. Patrick, how are you?
Wild, yeah.
Yes, that's right, Patrick. How are you? How's
How are you?
things? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah, and Una's a guide as well.
Oh yeah. Fair play to you, Una.
How are you?
All around Dublin City, yeah?
No, up north.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Causeway.
Oh, the Causeway, yeah. Giant's Causeway. Lovely. Brilliant. Fantastic. Great stuff. You a tour guide as well?
No, I volunteer here.
Well, he might
Fair
be.
play to you.
He
He
might
could
be.
be.
And you know what? He probably knows more than anybody, right?
Well, no, I wouldn't say. Are you videoing now, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is that okay?
Well, yeah, but you should have asked me first.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, no, but like.
Yeah, you're right.
Just coming in,
I'm
actually,
sorry, yeah.
video.
I usually come in and
I know, yeah.
yeah.
but
PJ
just-
is usually no
he's
problem.
not here.
Sorry about that, yeah.
He's not here, no.
Listen, I appreciate it. Sorry about that, man. Thanks very much. Take care, thank you.
See you, Dave.
See ya, Patrick. Good to see you, Patrick. Thank you. That guy didn't like me putting the camera on us when he was talking. Anyway, can't please everybody. Yeah, he did study medicine, Joyce, in Paris, but he left after, I think it was a year. He only studied for a year. His mother died and he came back to Dublin and didn't go back to finish his studies. This is a great old building. It's the old Merrion Hall building. Today it's the Davenport Hotel, one of the O'Callaghan group of hotels. They've 3 hotels right on this square, including that one right there, the Alex, the Davenport, and the Mont, that one right there. So, that's the tour for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me see if there's any questions here. Yeah, it's a wow building for sure, Ronnie. So I hope you enjoyed the tour today, folks. If you did, if you look in the chat, it should be in the chat somewhere, where I have a Buy Me a Coffee, my link to Buy Me a Coffee, and also my link to my PayPal account. So if you did enjoy the tour today and you wish to contribute, I'd very much appreciate that. Also, if you haven't already, I think most of you already have. Hi Terry, how are you, Terry? I didn't notice you were on here. You're more than welcome. Good to see you. No problem, Attic girl. Ronnie, thank you. Great stuff. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I've mentioned this before on my YouTube channels. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm at 834 right now. Want to get to 1,000. That way you can monetize your channel. And the only way I can probably get to do that is if people can help me out. And when I mean help me out by sharing my videos, by sharing my link to my videos, or by sharing my channel to friends and family, and that way they'll click on my channel, they may watch a video or two, and I have like 176 videos on my YouTube channel, and then they can subscribe to my channel, but they have to watch a tour before you can subscribe, otherwise it won't be accepted. even if it's only for 10, 20 minutes, they have to watch it for that length of time in order for it to be considered. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you so much, everybody. So please share. I really appreciate it, folks, if you do that. Thank you so much. Anybody got any questions? Oh, if you're around this Sunday, 7:10, 7:10 in the evening, Irish time, which will be about 2:10 North American time. Obviously, the UK is the same time. It's great. The Irish Celts are playing at Darky Kelly's. They're a fantastic traditional music band. I'm sure you've heard them before if you've been on that tour. I've done it many times before. But it's a great old session, great night. Be on for about 45 minutes. I hope you can join me for that. As we look at the Oscar Wilde statue right there in Merrion Square Park. That's where I start my Dublin Rogues tour. I'm going to put my card in here, Dublin Rogues tour, because this is where I start my tours, right at that statue, the Oscar Wilde statue. If you know anybody's coming to Dublin, they want to look me up, there's my email address, website, Dave Kavanagh. The website is actually down at the moment, but they can email me. Most of my tours come from OTAs, online tour agencies like Get Your Guide, also Viator, Airbnb, and I do loads of private tours for lots of other companies as well. So I'm not too worried that my website is down at the moment. I need to get some repairs done to it. This is the house that Wilde grew up in right here. Number 1, Merrion Square. And he moved here in 1855 when he was a year old, having lived just around the corner in Western Row, number 21 Western Row. Ronnie says she needs to read Ulysses. Thank you, Dave. Thanks, Poppy. I really enjoyed it. Okay, great stuff. Thank you. Poppy, by the way, folks, if you want to, Poppy, if you want to put in your channel, I don't know if you're able to do it on this stream. If you want to put in your Instagram channel, so Poppy, you guys, some of you guys might know, she does these absolutely amazing reviews for all the tour guides, all the former Hago tour guides, and anybody that's on the virtual Facebook page. What's it called? I can't even remember the name of it. Together Virtually Facebook page. She does them all on that, and she also does them on our Instagram page. And they're absolutely phenomenal reviews. And all us tour guides, we really appreciate her doing that. You don't think you can post a link in there? Anyway, just look it up. Just I think it's just look up Poppy. Go to Instagram. If you put in Poppy, I'm sure it will come up. There'll probably be several other Poppies will come up. That one should come up. But really fantastic reviews, and they're brilliantly worded, and we all appreciate it very much that she does that for all of us. It's great. Yeah, it's a good book, but you need to get into it. Yeah, you need to have some time as well. Ronnie Lynn will follow you on Instagram, Poppy. Great stuff. If you can write it in there, just write it in there. Poppy, just write it in there. All you have to do is write in what a Poppy on Instagram, whatever. Poppy's Virtual Tours, or whatever it is. There you go, Poppy's Virtual Tours. That's it. So if you want to follow Poppy's Instagram and look at our reviews, she's probably about 1,600 reviews at this stage of all the other tours that were done. So you can actually see the different tours that she has done, that she has attended over the last probably 3 years or so. So, it's great. Folks, that's all I got for you. Thanks a million for coming on. And we'll see you soon. Hopefully you'll be around on Sunday. I'm going to try and post some more tours for this week. If it's, I'll have to see how profitable it's going to be for me, because I can't do these tours for free. I need to get a few shillings for spending my time doing some tours. So I'll just see how I get on today and on Sunday. And if I make any money, then I'll continue to do tours next week. If I don't, sadly, I'm not going to be able to continue doing tours for free. Thanks a million, folks. See you all. Have a great day. Slán leat agus go raibh míle maith agat. Thank you, folks. Bye.